This episode of What's Going On with Shipping, it's time for the March 29 refloat of motor vessel Ever Forward. I'm your host, Sal Mercoglano. Welcome to this episode of What's Going On with Shipping. If you're new to the channel and haven't been here before, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos. So it is just after noon on March 29, and the first attempt to refloat motor vessel Ever Forward is in action as we speak. So I thought I'd show you an image of the planned refloat and then what's going on specifically right now at the site. So this is the refloat plan that we see going on. A couple of things to make note of here. So this is Ever Forward, and one of the things you'll see here is this colored topography. I had a great comment by one of my subscribers. We talked about this is an Army Corps of Engineers kind of survey. So one of the things you'll note here is the blue is obviously the deep water of the Craighill Channel. This green stripe is where Ever Forward came in and basically plowed a swath through the shoal area here. Roughly probably about 2/3 of a ship's length. So probably about 800, 700 feet in. And then of course the full 1,096 feet of the vessel all plowed in here. You'll notice the contour here, a little bit of less shallow along the edge here, and then yellow, excuse me, is that much greater shallow area. The red shows you the mud that had been kicked up around her. So she's got mud there on the port side kicked up, which shouldn't be an issue, and then red along the bow. According to the commentator here, he said that this was probably the initial survey map that was done, so it's not reflective of the dredging that would have been done. What we would expect to see is dredging done along the stern of the vessel and along the starboard side here of the vessel. So we know there are tugs on scene, and I've been able to find out what tugs were there. So it looks like the Signet Warhorse 2 will take the long tow off the stern of the vessel. The two large donjon tugs, I'm not sure which one will be where, but they'll be on the starboard quarter, the Atlantic Enterprise and the Atlantic Salver here on the starboard quarter. And then two Moran tugs, the Lynn Moran and the April Moran, again, not sure which one will be where, will be on the port side of the vessel pushing. And so what the plan appears to be is Signet Warhorse 2 is on this long line here. And the reason for the long line is she's up in the area north of the buoys, and there's a turning area there. So there's more room there. And what they want to do is pull her toward that. Eventually, that's where they want her to go. So the long tow is where they want the vessel to wind up. They want to pull her into the channel and then into the turning basin area. The Atlantic Enterprise and Atlantic Salver on the starboard quarter are going to try to pull her stern toward deep water, and particularly try to get her propeller and rudder clear so that they can use the ship's engines to back out. And then Lynn Moran and April Moran will be pushing on the port side. So let's take a look at marine traffic and see what's going on right now. Okay, so here's the view we have from marine traffic. We know the Coast Guard and the captain of the port closed the port as of 8 a.m. this morning. And matter of fact, what we're seeing here is patrolling being done. Coast Guard vessel here, the Coast Guard Sailfish, Marine One, which is out of the Port of Baltimore, I believe, and the Catlet, which is an Army Corps of Engineers survey boat, are also in the area, providing that 1,000-yard area around the vessel. We see the dredges moved off here. So we see all the dredges are off here along with the tugs and the barges. So in case they need to get back into dredging, they're in place. And then the rest of the vessels are moving in. Here's the Signet Warhorse 2. She's off the stern of the vessel. Now, Warhorse 2 was slated to tow USNS Yano, a large medium-speed ro-ro from Norfolk down to Corpus Christi, not to Corpus Christi, to Brownsville for Texas for scrapping. She recently towed the Shughart. Now, those vessels are 900 feet long, 60 to 70,000 ton vessels. So they're big vessels. So Signet Warhorse 2 can definitely tow a large vessel. The problem here is the grounding. While she can tow them while they're afloat, the question is, can she pull them off while they're grounded? The Atlantic Enterprise and Atlantic Salver, these are those big donjon salvage tugs that we talked about. They both came down from New York via the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal. The Enterprise got down a day or so ago. The Salver just got in yesterday. This is Warhorse 2 there. And then we have the smaller tugs right here, the Lynn Moran and the April Moran. And in truth, the Lynn and April Moran are harbor tugs, great for pulling ships on and off the berth, but fairly on the small side. And what they're going to be more important to do, believe it or not, it's not so much pushing the vessel, but catching the vessel. Should the vessel get free, they don't want it drifting across the channel and then beaching on the other side and being right back in this situation. So they're going to be there to help and assist when the operation takes place. We looked at the tides for this area. So here's the tides. We're on the upswing right now for the tide. So tide's coming up. Again, it's not a huge tide in this area. We're only talking about maybe a foot of tide. We're looking at right around 334 for high tide at Buoy 2C in the Craighill Channel. The other issue that's going to be playing a big factor in this is if we go into the vessel details here, the wind right now is out of the northwest at 17 knots. So that's going to play a big factor in here, because what's happening is the water in the upper bay is being pushed down into the lower bay as a result of this. So the question is going to be whether or not there's going to be sufficient water to get her off. Don't know at this time. Looks like there's still maneuvering vessels into position. They're not yet ready to do it. Lynn Moran, April Moran again should come up here on the port side of the vessel. Atlantic Salver and Atlantic Enterprise right here on the starboard quarter of the vessel. And right now, again, we're not seeing literally any movement of the vessel. She's sitting right there, hasn't really moved at all in this period of time. So we'll keep apprised. Expect late afternoon or not mid-afternoon around 3 o'clock. They'll give the poll on her to give it a try. I'm not 100% optimistic, not going to lie. I've heard from a lot of salvage experts and reporters in this area, and they think without bringing in larger salvage tugs, without anchoring the salvage tugs, this may be an issue. Now, I'm not sure if Atlantic Enterprise and Atlantic Salver will be dropping anchors. According to the survey plot, they're not. And just pulling on the vessel and pushing, not sure that's going to be enough to break the suction. Talk to somebody who's working down at Poplar Island, and he's reporting that the mud that they're basically dredging around here is like concrete. It's a heavy clay concrete. It's taking them 13 hours to pump out the barges, and it's the worst bottom they have seen when it comes to clearing it out. There's also a report there's no animal life, no crabs, oysters, whatever's in the bottom there of Chesapeake Bay. So it's just mud, but it's tough mud. And if she is packed in there from bow to stern, like I think she is, even with the dredging that's been done, it's going to be hard to break that bottom suction off of her. I think that's one of the reasons they're going to try to basically pull her using that plan. I think that's why they're going to try to pivot her on her bow, try to get that stern out in the deeper water. If they can get the ship's engines helping, that's going to be the tremendous advantage there. If they can use the ship's engines to back her off, that will make the world of difference. And I think that's what they're hoping to see here. If this doesn't work, they will reset, start dredging again, open the channel back up, allow traffic to move, and do it again over the weekend when they think they get enough dredging in. They're going to bring in 2 barges with winches on them to attach to Ever Forward and to anchor in the area where the Signet Warhorse 2 is right now. And then they'll try to use those winches to winch her off and again, get her back out in the channel. So we'll be keeping up on this, and there'll be an update on this on What the Ship later on today. This afternoon, I'll probably come out late with What the Ship to try to catch any information that happened today, whether or not the Ever Forward was successfully refloated or not. Hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, share it across social media, and if you can, contribute, become a patron of the channel. Our Patreon page allows us to bring you these videos and, more importantly, develop the channel, hopefully over the summer, into something even bigger. Until our next video, Sal, signing off.